So if you're in college like me, then you're either preparing to take your finals, are currently taking your finals, or you have already taken your finals and you're on winter break. As for me, I am actually preparing to take all of my finals because usually around December is where colleges take their finals, usually at the beginning of December. And if you're not in college, then usually towards the middle of December you start taking your end of like EOG, like end of grade test, or not really end of grade test, end of quarter test, end of course test, whatever. And basically I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about tests. I'm gonna talk about, you know, me not liking tests and just all that fun stuff whenever it comes to tests. You know, am I a good test taker and all that fun stuff. And you can go ahead and leave all that stuff down in the comment section below as well. And if you do enjoy this video blog, don't forget to hit that like button. But let's just go ahead and talk about something that really I don't think a lot of people like, and that is test. So I would go ahead and say it. I don't like tests. I can't stand tests. I can't stand taking a test because, for one, the room is always dead silent when there's a test going on, and I like silence, but I like silence up to a certain degree, okay? When it's like dead silent in a classroom, I can't stand that because for some weird reason, I don't really concentrate that well when it comes to a room with like dead silence, okay? I at least need like a heater on or the air conditioner on or some sort of outside noise that will allow me to concentrate. With that being said, it has to be at a level of where it's not super duper distracting. That's why I always have like a TV on in the background at low volume sometimes. Not during recordings, obviously, because I have game volume in my ear, but when it comes to just sitting here in my room, I have to have some type of background noise, whether it be like low playing music, people around me, or just my TV with a really low volume. That allows me to concentrate. But when it comes to taking tests, the room is dead silent and I just have a really hard time concentrating. Another thing that I hate about taking tests is the fact that the school system just does not, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, what we do with tests are we study the information, but we study it in the way that we memorize it. We memorize instead of learn. Okay, and there's a difference. There's definitely a difference between memorizing something and learning something. So we memorize the information, we replicate it on the test, and then we forget it after the test is over. Why? Because our grades are more important than learning the information, and that's what I hate about taking tests, because you're graded on how much you quote-unquote know, but it's like, no, you're actually graded on how much you can fucking memorize and remember on the test, you know? Like, I just don't like that at all. And then the fact that, like, hey, you get an F on the test, you just feel like complete fucking shit, and if you get an A, it's like, oh, I can memorize things very, very well, but I don't give a fuck about this, so I'm just gonna forget all about the information. So I like classes that are like structured around you actually learning the material rather than you trying to memorize and replicate the material. And there are some classes where you can't obviously memorize everything there is to know about that class and then replicate it on a test, so you're forced to learn it. But forced learning is not the best learning, and that's what I feel like most of these tests kind of stem from, especially these standardized tests, like these freaking tests that the state be making for you. Oh my gosh, I can't stand those tests at all, because first of all, they have shit on them that like the teacher does not cover in class, and then they just somehow expect you to know, and it's just like, well, the teacher never covered this in class, so how am I supposed to even know this information? Like, are you kidding me? And then they make the test like impossibly hard to pass, and then sometimes you get those tests or those finals, whatever, where the teacher makes it, but the teacher makes it, or the department makes it, let me say it like that, the department makes it, and when the department makes it, they make it so impossibly hard that no one passes the fucking test. Like last year I took a physics final, right, and the test was impossibly hard. There was no fucking way anybody could get a perfect score on that test. There was just no fucking way. I literally bombed that final. I was like, I walked into the final not confident at all, walked out of the final still not confident at all. The physics final was so fucking hard, and then it's even worse when the class is structured in such a way that doesn't even like work with the test at all. Like the class was structured one way and the test was structured like a completely different way, and then when you have a terrible professor as well, that just kind of adds on to, you know, the terrible tests and shit like that. But that's why I don't like taking tests. I just hate taking tests. Not only that, but at the same time, I always blank when it comes to taking tests. I always blank on something crucial that I need to know on the test, and then that right there it's just a downward slope, and I just cannot stand that at all. With all of that being said though, when it comes to taking tests, it depends on what kind of test I'm taking, but it depends on the subject, okay? Like, I'm a good test taker when it comes to math because I know my math. Math is my favorite subject. But when it comes to something like English, history, whatever, anything that doesn't involve math or I guess science, whatever, I don't know it. Now, with that being said, I can't do physics. Even though physics is like math, it is not like math, so I can't really do physics. But when it comes to math in general, I'm a relatively good test taker. When it comes to multiple choice tests, I'm a pretty good test taker because it's multiple choice. You know, you have like a 1 out of 4 chance of getting it right, and then most of the time, you know, you'll get it right if you know how to do it. But like I said before, it depends on what it is. If it's history, then I don't know. But when it comes to math, I'm fucking amazing at math. I'm not trying to flex or anything, but I love math, so it just comes natural to me. But sometimes, like I said before, I blank on a test, and that just kind of lowers my test taking skills just by a lot, and I truly hate it when I blank out on a test. I really do. So of course there are differences between like high school tests and college tests. With high school, you gotta take these standardized tests at the end of each quarter or the end of each course or at the end of your grade really. And the standardized tests, they expect you to know what's on the test, you know? And it kind of blows because sometimes the teacher doesn't even have enough time to go over said subject, so you just gotta fend for yourself. And then when you take the standardized test, it's just like, well, that's it. And then at the same time though, with the standardized test, there's always like a curve, you know, like if a class does like terrible, the state or whatever will curve the test like up to a certain point, and then that way, you know, not so many people failed the test when originally a lot more people failed the test. That's one thing I like about, you know, state tests. They always curve the test. Sometimes they don't, but most of the time they do curve the test. Now when it comes to colleges, sometimes you have standardized tests, most of the time you have teacher-made tests. And teacher-made tests are actually a little bit better because the teacher knows what they went over and what they didn't go over, and they can tell you exactly what's gonna be on the test. Now with that being said, they can make the test as hard as they want to make it, but at the same time, they will not put something on the test that they have not gone over in class. So, you know, they won't try to trick you up and shit. You know, I had like a Calc 3 test where literally all the problems were on the homework. Of course, I never did the homework because the homework was never mandatory, but literally all the questions that were on the test were on the homework. So, you know, that's one thing I really truly do like about college. You know, the teacher won't they won't let you go in the test blind. Sometimes they might do that with like one question or so, but outside of that, I haven't ran into, you know, a test where I just knew nothing on the test and the teacher didn't go over any of it on the test, you know? So they don't try to trick you up like that. At the same time though, they do slip in those tricky questions. Like in one of my programming classes, I literally heard the teacher say, hey, we're gonna have a multiple choice test. And I'm like, yes, multiple choice. But then he gives us the test and it's like, oh, multiple choice, multiple answer. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you really fucking serious? Multiple choice, multiple answer. No, I don't like that. I hate that. I mean, at the same time, it's like you got more chances of getting something right and wrong, but at the same time, it's like multiple answer. That's just like, I don't work well with that. But at the same time though, they don't really throw you curveballs all too often, so that's why I like college tests over high school tests. Now, when it comes to tests, do I study or do I not study? It really depends. Most of the time, I don't study. Now, I don't study because I don't have the patience, I don't have the attention span to study, you know, for very long anyway. If I study, I'll study for maybe 15 to 30 minutes, but outside of that, I don't study because studying just, either I start studying something and then like one thing is embedded in my brain and then I forget everything else, or I just don't know anything and there's just no point in studying at all. And then even with studying, it's like, well, I'm just gonna bomb the test either way. So sometimes I kind of make myself fail a test because by not studying, but at the same time though, I do study. Sometimes, I don't know, in terms of have I seen better results of when I study versus when I don't study, It really depends on the test, because sometimes I already know all the information on the test, so I don't necessarily need to study at all. At the same time though, there were things that I just kind of blanked out on the test, and you know, by me studying, I was able to recall that information and get a better score on the test than before. So it really varies with the situation, but all in all, I mean, I just don't study over. I study, but I don't study. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. I just go ahead and wrap up this video, right? So I guess, you know, to wrap up the video, if you struggle with taking tests, I guess one thing you can do is study the information that doesn't come that easy to you. Okay, if there's something on a test that you absolutely already know, don't study it. Okay, just glimpse over it, like just gloss over it, and then move on to the stuff that you absolutely do not know, that you know is going to be on the test, because that way you'll have all that information down pat. You already have easy information down pat, and you'll be able to do better on the test. Don't focus so much on what you already know, focus on what you don't know. And then if you get really nervous during the test, just breathe, just stay calm, you know, because I'm pretty sure there are gonna be other people in the class that are just as nervous as you, if not more nervous. And then like failing one test is not gonna be the end of your career, end of your life at all, because believe me, I have bombed plenty of tests, and it's not really that big of a deal, you guys. With that being said, I don't really too much care about school anymore, but at the same time though, I can seriously sit here and tell you guys, bombing one test isn't gonna kill your grade so badly to where anything that you do will not pull your grade up at all. I'm just telling you that right now. Now, sometimes it does happen that way if the teacher only does tests in the class, but that's usually college. When it comes to high school stuff, you still have like homework, you have like class participation, you have projects and all that fun stuff that could pull up your grade as well. So don't worry if you fail a test. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your career at all. People fail tests all the time. It's no big deal. Just go in with a high head. Just, you know, study the material that you don't know. Just gloss over the material that you already do know, just to make sure you refresh your memory, and you should be good for the test. And then if you absolutely don't know shit on the test, then just go ahead and bomb it and just say, hey, I'll do better next time. That's really all you can do. But yeah, hopefully this helped you guys out. And you know, hey, let me know down in the comment section if you like taking tests, if you're a good test taker, do you study for tests every day, every week, whatever. And don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.